A group of heroes, Sonic, Amy, Shadow, Silver, Blaze, and Whisper, approach the Resistance base in Sunset Heights, only to find it in devastation. Walls were collapsed, vehicles were destroyed, and soldiers were injured, if not worse. The heroes quickly tried helping the survivors. It took a while, but eventually things were back under control. Once they were, they only had one question. What the hell happened? Abraham Tower got them back up to speed. And that's when Tails arrived with Omega. He had modified him, turned him against us. By our count, 80% of our forces have been wiped out. Shadow looked over at the walking arsenal. For possibly the first time, Omega didn't look proud to hear the devastation he had caused. Shadow decided to change the subject. He explained to the commander what they had learned of the Phantom Ruby. Rouge had suspected there was information on Eggman's latest weapon aboard that Death Egg. It appears she was right. You say as if you're surprised, handsome. Rouge leaped down from the ceiling. Glad to see you can finally join us, Ms. Rouge. The commander paused before speaking to his agents. Team Dark, your mission is simple. Eliminate Miles Prower by any means necessary. Are you out of your mind? The group turned to Sonic. It appeared he had finally lost his cool. If you lay a finger on him, I'll... Sonic, I understand your feelings, but look what he did. He has to be stopped. I know, but this isn't the way. Look, I don't enjoy the idea of sending out a hit on a kid. Believe me, I don't. But we don't really have any other options. So unless you can punch the evil out of him, I suggest you stay out of our way. Sonic gritted his teeth and was about to respond, when suddenly something caught his eye. The Chaos Emeralds. The pair of gems that were initially left with only their negative energy left. They had been restored by the Master Emerald. Sonic raced over. He pulled out his own pair of negative Chaos Emeralds and gave them to Knuckles. Fix them. Knuckles was taken aback by Sonic's directness, but complied. Before long, the emeralds were back to their former glory. Now, Sonic had 5 Chaos Emeralds. There were only 2 left. The Hedgehog began to race towards the door. The commander called out, "Just what the hell do you think you're doing?" Sonic stopped for a moment, before smirking. You said it yourself, Commander. I'm gonna punch the evil out of him. Tails once said the positive power of the emeralds could nullify negative energy. If there's one guy I trust, it's him. Without another word, Sonic raced off. No allies, no backup, no friends. Just a mission. Stop Eggman, put an end to this war before anyone else gets hurt, and save Tails. Hundreds of miles away at Eggman's Imperial Tower, the Doctor was berating his subordinate. Infinite? Care to explain what you were thinking? Lord Eggman, you gave me a mission. Destroy the rebels. So, I did what I had to do to... You went behind my back, stole experimental Phantom Ruby technology, and practically handed Omega back to the rebels. And now... you have the audacity to talk back to your master. Just who the hell do you think you are? The fox went silent. Infinite's eyes darted around the room, in fear of meeting the Doctor's. That's when he noticed something in the back of the lab. A small fox stall with yellow-orange fur, and a crystal attached to it. It was the spitting image of Infinite, or rather, what he may have been before he became Infinite. I don't know. The fox raised his mask. That's the problem, Doctor. I don't know who I am. I need to know, who am I? Who was I before this? Why did I join you? Why are we doing this? There must have been a reason. Tell me what the reason... Infinite's words were cut short. The doctor had pressed a button on his coat sleeve, and in that moment, Infinite's eyes narrowed. He suddenly felt cold. He felt the need to shiver, but he couldn't seem to. That's when he noticed he couldn't move his arms, he couldn't move his lips. Even his breathing felt strained. That's when Infinite realized what Eggman had done. He had disabled his hydraulics. He was paralyzed. Infinite wanted to reason with the doctor, beg for mercy, even just scream. But he couldn't. All he could do was look up at his master, as Eggman sadistically stared at the fox with a wicked grin. You ask too many questions, but I'll tell you what you need to know. You belong to me, Infinite. You are my little sidekick, and you will do what I say without question, or else you will be disposed of. Do you understand? Infinite's eyes twitched. I thought as much. Eggman pressed the button again. The fox's roboticized limbs finally responded, as Infinite fell to his knees, gasping for air. Eggman merely brushed off his coat. Rest for now, Infinite. I have to do a lot of planning to make up for your incompetence. I'm sure the Resistance will be coming along soon to avenge their fallen. Predictable as always. I expect you to be at your best when they arrive. With that, the doctor walked out of the laboratory. The fox simply laid there on the floor, broken. One way or another, he had gotten his answer. He wasn't an individual. His own personal wants and desires didn't matter. He was simply a tool of Eggman, and a useful one at that. That's all he'd ever be. His feelings of uncertainty, loss, and pain persist, but he couldn't resist, for that's what it takes to be infinite, and he just had to accept that. Elsewhere, a blue streak raced across the continents towards Eggman's Imperial Tower. On his way, he zigzagged through old temples and canyons, trying to find the remaining Chaos Emeralds, but there were none to be found. Come on, where are they? Where are they? Sonic suddenly screeched to a halt. He had arrived at his final destination. The Imperial Tower was within eyesight. Darn, I only have 5. Maybe I should go back. No. Enough people have been hurt. This war ends now. With that, Sonic leaped off the cliff, rolled down the ravine, and slammed right through the front gate. Alarms blared, spotlights shone, and badniks rised up to take on the intruder. But Sonic effortlessly blasted through them all. He was soon at the foot of the tower, where he screeched to a halt. An army of phantom clones were in front of him, with Infinite floating above them all. Sonic looked up at his old friend. That's when he noticed Infinite had something in his hands. A pair of negatively charged Chaos Emeralds. Even now you're helping me out, Tails. Okay, just hand them over and I'll get you back.
Silence, worm!
Indeed, you're in no place to make demands, Sonic. The doctor's eggmobile floated down next to Infinite. Now, seeing as I'm in such a good mood, I'll give you the offer to surrender. Just hand over the emeralds you have, and your death will be mostly painless. Sonic glared at the obese overlord in front of him. I thought as much. Infinite?
Very well, Lord Eggman.
Infinite's army of phantom clones raced towards Sonic. The blue hedgehog ducked and weaved, dodging chaos spears and maximum overdrives. He sweeped under Zavox and blasted right through chaos. But even with his speed, even with it being augmented by 5 Chaos Emeralds, he couldn't be everywhere at once. He was quickly becoming overwhelmed. Eventually, after defeating several phantoms, a shadow got a lucky shot, kicking him in the back of the knee. Sonic was knocked to the ground before several phantoms began to wail on him from all directions. After a few moments, a phantom metal charged into Sonic, knocking him into the air. The hedgehog flew helplessly in the air before landing hard back onto the Earth's surface. Sonic laid bruised and beaten on the ground, in front of Eggman and Infinite. Wonderful! Simply outstanding! Wouldn't you agree, Sonic? I bet you never thought it would end like this, now did you? Infinite, I'd like you to do the honors. Sonic looked up at Tails, desperately trying to reach out to him. But Infinite didn't seem to care. Infinite raised the emeralds, their power enhancing that of the Phantom Ruby. As he prepared to strike down the hedgehog, one of the negative emeralds was blasted out of Infinite's hand by a shot of Hyper Gohan energy. Infinite and the Doctor looked towards where the shot had originated. There was Whisper the Wolf, along with several other Resistance heroes. The Rookie, Knuckles, Classic Sonic, Amy, Shadow, Silver, the Chaotix, Tangle, Blaze, everyone was there. And behind them was a massive GUN battleship, stockpiled with the remaining weapons and Resistance soldiers they had. A voice rang out on the PA system of this flying fortress. This is former Commander Abraham Tower of GUN, current General of the Resistance. Dr. Ivo Robotnik, you are guilty of several crimes against humanity. Come quietly, or you will be destroyed. The Doctor furiously stood up in his Eggmobile. You come to my home and dare give demands. I am Dr. Eggman, the Emperor of the world, and you will give me the respect I deserve. Very well, Doctor. We'll give you exactly what you deserve. Agent Omega, have your fun. E-123 Omega, whom was standing on top of the battleship, leaped off, falling headfirst towards the battlefield. Even before hitting the ground, he was unleashing hellfire down at the Phantoms, blowing several of them away. And as he made contact with the Earth, all hell broke loose. As Omega made his distraction, the heroes charged forth towards Eggman's Imperial Tower. Silver soared through the battlefield, assisting Shadow as he took care of his fakers. Blaze was surrounded by a swarm of Chaos clones, but as they swarmed in, she ignited her fist. With a massive surge of heat, she boiled all the Chaoses into steam. Whisper's wisp flew out of her coat, granting their powers to Team Chaotix as they bulldozed right through the Phantoms. Amy launched Classic Sonic through the crowd with her Pico Pico hammer, shattering several phantom metals to scrap. And Knuckles quickly glided by, grabbing Sonic and the emerald Infinite had dropped. The Hedgehog and Echidna found some cover. Sonic, are you hurt? A little, but I'll live. Good, because when we're done, I'm gonna hurt you for leaving us behind. You could have died. Yeah, maybe it wasn't the best idea to run ahead. Thanks for the backup. Knuckles unveiled the Phantom Master Emerald. He quickly restored the Chaos Emerald they stole from Infinite back to its former glory. There, you got 6 emeralds now. We only got 1 left to get. Steal it from Infinite and get him back to normal, so we can end this stinking war. Sure thing, Knucklehead. With that, Sonic raced back into the battlefield. Up above, Eggman gritted his teeth, He could feel power slipping away from him.
No. I've come too far to fail now. Infinite, prepare the Scorched Earth protocol.
Infinite nervously nodded before raising the emerald above his head. He clenched it hard, draining whatever power he could from it, overclocking his phantom ruby.
Feeble resistance, lend me your ears. Your acts of defiance against the Eggman Empire will be for naught. You will all burn.
Infinite launched up into the sky, his overclocked phantom ruby charging with energy. As Infinite was high up where no one could hear him, he silently said to himself,
These rebels, they're free to fight for a cause they believe in. I envy that. All I can hope is that they'll find the freedom in death that I'll never know in life.
As his overclocked energy reached its apex, the fox blasted the energy into the sky before it erupted into a massive star. The light was blinding, and the heat was practically unbearable from this false sun. Eggman began to cackle maniacally, looking down at his enemies, preparing to give one last speech before the end. Ho 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 ho! The sun will fall upon you all. Boom! The end. Your miserable lives are over.
Are you out of your mind, Doctor? You destroy yourself simply to defeat us?
Wouldn't you like that, Shadow? I and Infinite intend to protect ourselves from the blast and rebuild the world from the ashes that remain. Farewell, heroes. Eggman gestured to Infinite. The fox followed his master's orders, flying over and creating a phantom dome around himself and the Doctor to protect themselves from the inevitable. All hope was lost. Without the final Chaos Emerald, there was nothing from this world that could withstand the might of the sun. The resistance fell into despair. Hundreds of soldiers ran for their lives in a desperate bid to avoid the inevitable. Others, like Team Dark, stood defiantly in the face of utter destruction. Amy quickly clung on to Sonic, wanting to spend her final moments with the one she loved most. As everyone embraced, in one way or another, the fact that this was the end.